A lot of YouTubers have been dropping tall guard builds, but my 6'8 guard build is the best, and it's really not even close. These right here are the top attributes on this build. Have you ever seen this good of stats on a 6'8 guard? But the badges, they're even better. Thanks to max +1s and max +2s, we get an array of Hall of Fame and Legend badges that make this build dominate every court it steps on. With this build, you'll be able to shoot over everyone, play defense like a pure lockdown, completely fry defenders with insane speed boosts, and even get insane contact dunk animations. Make this build and winning will become effortless in NBA 2K26. Before we get into how to make the build, if you could drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, I would really appreciate it. But going ahead and getting into how to make the build for yourself, for the position, you want to go with shooting guard, height 6'8", weight 185, and wingspan 6'10". Now, I'm not gonna lie, the wingspan is a little short, but trust me, the defense does not suffer for it. We went with the 6'10" wingspan because we're gonna have a 93 mid-range on this build, but we also get a really high block and a really high perimeter. Trust me, the perimeter is crazy on this build. But once you do that, you wanna go ahead and hit continue, and this is what you wanna go with for the attributes. So for the finishing, you wanna go with a 74 close shot, 71 driving layup, 87 driving dunk, 47 standing dunk, and a 51 post control. First up, 74 close shot. We had to bring this up because of other attributes, but we are going to be able to make shots in the paint at a high level. Driving layup, we went with a 71 driving layup. A 71 driving layup isn't really too high on a point guard build. It was honestly brought up because of other attributes, and layups in this game are completely overpowered, and I really wanted to have a higher layup, but I really couldn't find a way to do it. The driving dunk is pretty high though, as we have an 87 driving dunk, which is going to give us contact dunks on this build. Now, we only get one contact dunk package, and I believe that is it's one of the 2-foot contact dunk packages, but regardless, any contact dunk package is going to be very good. And we also get silver posterizer and gold aerial wizard, which are two very nice badges to have. And then for standing dunk, we have a 47 standing dunk. That is going to give us standing dunk animations on a guard, which is a very nice luxury to have. That means whenever you're under the basket and you want to get a shot up quickly without getting blocked, you are going to get a standing dunk under the basket. That is something that my 6'4" guard could not do. And then for post control, we have a 51 post control. We don't really get anything with that. We had to bring that up because of our ball handle. Now, moving on to the shooting on this build, and the shooting is very solid, especially with cap breakers. So first up, we got the mid-range. We have an 89 mid-range, an 85 3-point shot, and a 64 free throw. Now, on my version of the build, I actually have a 93 mid-range, which gets me a lot of gold badges and Hall of Fame set shot specialist. Now, I'm gonna have a section in this video where I go over what to do with cap breakers in detail. But what I did, I put +4 cap breakers on my mid-range. I used one of my build specialization cap breakers, which also later in the video, I'm going to be talking about build specialization and going over that in detail. Basically, I used 3 that weren't from build specialization on my mid-range, and then I used 1 from build specialization on my mid-range to get it to a 93. Now, if you do not have cap breakers yet, do not worry, because an 89 mid-range is still very usable. Off rip, we get silver deadeye, gold set shot, silver shifty shooter. I mean, we get very decent badges. And then 3-point shot, you want to go with an 85 3-pointer. Now, the reason we are still going to be able to shoot so good, even though our 3-pointer is only an 85, is because our mid-range is going to allow us to unlock pretty much every single shooting badge that we would get from having a higher 3-point shot, but for cheaper, which is crazy. The only badge we miss out on from having an 85 3-pointer is a lower tier limitless range. We only get limitless range on bronze, but in my opinion, limitless range isn't really that important of a shooting badge. Trust me, you can still green from the parking lot with sharpshooting takeover. And then free throw 64. Kind of a low free throw, but I'm not gonna lie, you'll still be able to make free throws. Like, moving on to the playmaking section of this build. Now, that 61 pass, I know that's gonna scare some of y'all. I'm about to explain why I did that in just a second. But you wanna go with the 61 pass, 86 ball handle, and a 75 speed with ball. Now, first up, the 61 pass. I know some of y'all are probably gonna kill me for that in the comments down below. But listen, I am using this build mainly on the 2s court and the 1s court. On the 2s, you only have one teammate, and usually, especially if you're ISOing, you're only passing when your teammate is butt naked, wide open. What I mean by that is whenever whoever's guarding your teammate in the corner, if you're ISOing, if he rotates to the paint, the pass is going to be like wide open. You can literally throw a lob pass and it will still get to him in time. Now on the 3s court, a 61 pass might pose some issues. If I were you and you want to use this build on the 3s like mainly, then I would probably try to get a 71 pass. That is what I have on my 6'4" guard, and I play mainly 3s on that build. And then 86 ball handle and 75 speed with ball, you are going to be able to get every single sig and every single dribble style possible on a 6'8". Well, not every single dribble style. You need to have an 80 speed with ball to get every single possible dribble style, but we get all of the meta dribble styles, which is, well, the meta dribble style, which is Zach LaVine. And then 86 ball handle is maxed out. We get literally every single sig we could need. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, which in my opinion is my favorite part about this build. We have a 60 interior, 91 perimeter, 73 steal, and a 78 block. So first up, we got a 60 interior, nothing crazy. We couldn't really get a super high interior on this build, couldn't really find a way to do it, but we are still going to be able to get some hands up paint stops. Not on bigs, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you can't really do that regardless. Even if you're on a big, you probably won't get hands up paint stops, consistently at least. And then we got a 91 perimeter. Now on my version of the build, I have a 95 perimeter. Now is that overkill? A little bit. But what I did, I put +4 cat breakers on my perimeter, and that brought it to a 95. Now, I have +8 cat breakers in total, one from build specialization and the other 7 from a bunch of different areas, like my lifetime challenges, hitting level 40, and from being in a crew that is level 30. And I don't expect y'all to have +8 cat breakers. You know, that is not something that I really expect, but over time, you are gonna have +8 cat breakers. It might take a little bit, it might take you like a month, might take you a few more weeks, but in my opinion, I would still make this build and just wait to get those cat breakers over time, because trust me, this build is the most complete 6'8" I've seen out of anybody. And then steal, we have a 73 steal. We don't really have a super high steal on this build, mainly because you don't really need to in this game. My first build I made with an 85 steal, and I got literally no bump steals at all. I'm not joking. Like whenever I would get a bump steal, or an on-ball steal for that matter, I would literally like have a reaction. Like you would think I just hit like a 100% smothered shot by the way I would be reacting to getting on-ball steals. No, it was just me getting a steal. That's all it was. Now, the reason we went with a 73 steal and not anything higher is because, like I just said, steals are a little broken, but we do get silver interceptor. And interceptions are not broken in this game. Interceptions are actually pretty good. They're not really flawed in my opinion. Moving on to the block on this build, we have a 78 block. This right here is a very underrated part of this build. I mean, we have the same level of block that some poppers have on a 6'8" guard. Like this makes the defense even better. We already have a 95 perimeter defense with cat breakers. We already have a decent steal where we can play lanes, and we also have that 78 block, which is just going to add like a whole new level of defense on this build. We get silver high flying denier on this build with a 78 block, and we also get bronze paint patroller. If we wanted to, we could actually max +2 tier 2 our high flying denier and get it to Hall of Fame. I mean, that is crazy that we can do that on a guard build. And then moving on to the rebounding section, we're not going to cover this like super heavily. I'm just going to talk about it briefly, but we have a 39 offensive rebound and a 61 defensive rebound. That is going to get us all bronze rebounding badges, which is very solid to have on a guard build. And moving on to the physicals on this build, we got an 86 speed, 84 agility, 71 strength, and a 75 vertical. Now the physicals are a very underrated part about this build, because not only do we have really good speed and agility, but we also have a good strength and enough vertical to get basically all of the dunk animations and silver posterizer, along with silver high flying denier. And then a 71 strength. I wanted to go 73 because I really wanted gold strong handle, but I couldn't really find a way to do it, unfortunately. If you want, you could lower the speed and then go 73 strength. Me personally, I would rather have the speed if I'm being completely honest. But we do get bronze immovable enforcer, which we can get on gold if we max +2 it. It is a tier 2 badge, so we could tier 2 max +2 immovable enforcer. We also get bronze physical finisher and silver strong handle if we go with the 71. If we go with the 73, we would have gold strong handle. And that right there is how you make the best 6'8" guard build on NBA 2K26. Now, like I said while I was explaining the attributes I went with, this build was made with cat breakers in mind. I'm going to be explaining the cat breakers more in detail later in the video. I definitely recommend listening to that because it's a little confusing how cat breakers are this year. Some cat breakers you can get from build specialization, some you can get from repping up and all that. But basically what I did, I put +4 cat breakers on my mid-range and brought it to a 93. And then I put another +4 on my perimeter and brought it to a 95. Now, if y'all want a version of the build that you can use right now and you don't have to keep cat breakers in mind for it to be at its max potential, I recommend making this version of the build that you see on screen. I would still personally go with the first version of the build This right here is the version, like I said, that you don't have to keep cap breakers in mind really, but you do miss out on a few things like having good physicals. You also have a lower 3-point shot, which I wouldn't really recommend. So yeah, for that reason, I would recommend making my version, which is the one I made for cap breakers. This one is way more future-proofed than version 2, but once you make the build, you want to go ahead and hit continue, and you are going to get shades of Eddie Jones, John Starks, and Kobe Bryant, and the build name you're going to get is a two-way 3-level shot creator. All right, now that I've showed y'all how to make the build for yourself, I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all how to upgrade the build. I'm gonna show 3 different ways you can upgrade it. Number 1 is gonna be the cheapest way possible if you want to save the most amount of VC. Way number 2 is gonna be getting the build to an 85 overall. That is what builds are capped out at whenever you first get the game. So if you just now got the game and want to max out the build immediately, that right there is gonna be the best way to upgrade it as an 85. And then the last way is gonna be how I personally upgraded it. So on screen is the best budget way to upgrade the build. Upgrade it like this if you want to save the most amount of VC. Now keep in mind, this version of the build isn't really going to be good in competitive settings. Again, this is the cheapest way to upgrade the build to save the most amount of VC. So don't expect to pull up to the stage and drop and go 7 for 7 on people. That's not going to happen. This is suitable for playing my career and grinding VC to get the build upgraded though. This right here is way number 2 to upgrade the build as an 85 overall. This one is a lot more usable online than the budget version. This one is actually tailored to be used online. Again, there are some flaws, like it's not going to be flawless whenever you go play online, but you are going to be able to win games. And then right here is how I personally upgraded the build. Now, obviously, I am not done upgrading it just yet, but everything I have upgraded is everything I view is necessary that I needed to upgrade. Honestly, if you have the VC for it, I wouldn't really skip anything. Another thing I really need to upgrade that I haven't yet is my driving layup. I swear on this game, like driving layups are harder to make sometimes than jump shots. I don't really know why. Now next, we are going to talk about build specialization and what I went with on this build. Now I personally went with shooting build specialization. Now this is a very defensive tailored build and I was considering going defense build specialization, but I'm not gonna lie, those defensive build specialization challenges are not for the weak. So I just went with shooting because this build can get a lot from the shooting rewards that you get from shooting build specialization. I mean, look at what I've gotten. I've gotten a shooting max +1, unique archetype name. I've gotten a shooting cap breaker. All the stuff you get from like tiers 1 through 5 isn't really anything crazy, but the cap breaker, the max +1, in the future, I'm gonna get another cap breaker and another max +2. I mean, that is crazy. And I would definitely recommend going shooting build specialization, and in my opinion, it isn't really close. Getting into what I did for cap breakers on this 6'8 guard build. Now, like I said in the builder explanation, this build was made with cap breakers in mind, and the reason I did that is because whenever you make builds with cap breakers in mind, it makes them a lot more future proof, and it makes it to where you won't have to make a new build down the road. Like a lot of YouTubers, what they do, they make the best possible builds and they don't really put cap breakers in mind. They just make it the best for right then. But what that does, it gets you a really good build, but it also gets you a build that you can't really use in the future whenever there's like a clear meta out. But don't worry, I got y'all. This build right here is gonna last y'all the entire game. You can trust me on that. But anyways, what I did for cap breakers on this build, as you can see, I put 4 on my mid-range, 1 on my 3-point, and then 4 on my perimeter defense. I would prioritize doing 4 on your mid-range first. Now remember, we did build specialization for shooting, so we are going to get 2 cap breakers that we can put on any of our shooting attributes. I recommend putting 2 of those on your mid-range. After you do your mid-range cap breakers, I recommend then doing your perimeter defense cap breakers. All of these cap breakers right here cannot be from build specialization because we of course picked shooting for this build. So you're gonna have to get all 4 of these from a bunch of different areas, whether it be lifetime challenges, you can get them from being in a crew, you can also get them from repping up and hitting level 40. And then once you take care of mid-range and perimeter defense, I mean, the build is honestly complete in my eyes, and everything else that you do is honestly extra. And with all of your additional cap breakers that you get, you can put it on a few different things. Me personally, I'm gonna max out my 3-point to an 88. I don't get any badges from that, but I didn't think it would hurt to have an even higher 3-point on an already really strong build. So I'm gonna get my 3-point to an 88 with my next few cap breakers. Now moving on to the best of max +1 and max +2 badge perks on this build. And before I say anything, I just want to look at these badges. Like, look at the badges we get on this build. This is absolutely insane. I mean, there's so many legend badges. We get Hall of Fame lightning launch as a tier 2 badge. Like, I'm telling y'all, bro, this build is gonna last a while. But anyways, what do y'all want to do for max plus 1 and max plus 2? So honestly, y'all could just copy what I have right here. That's really what I would recommend doing. Now, of course, not everyone is going to have the same play style as me. You know, you might be a player who just wants to completely shoot over people. If that's the case, you might want to put Deadeye as your tier 1 max plus 2, and then you want to put Shifty Shooter as your tier 1 max plus 1. But for me, I shoot a lot of midi fades on my 6'8", so for that reason, I'm gonna put Shifty Shooter as my max plus 2 and then Deadeye as my max plus 1. And to cap this video off, we are gonna go ahead and get into the best jump shot for this guard build. If you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, because not only am I giving y'all the best 6'8" guard build, I'm also giving y'all the best 6'8" guard jump shot. I am not gatekeeping at all. Before the jump shot, you wanna go with base Quentin Grimes, release 1 Quentin Grimes, upper release 2 Baluba, and then for the visual cue, you wanna go push, release speed maxed out 4 out of 4, and then animation blending 60/40. Now the grades are really solid on the shot. A+ height, A+ immunity, A+ speed. The timing stability is D+, but trust me, that grade is literally the least important grade. Now that right there is how you create the best 6'8" guard build in NBA 2K26. Like I said, a lot of YouTubers have made 6'8s, but this right here, completely flawless. You get defense like a lockdown, insane contact dunks, you get elite shooting, and I mean elite shooting. And you of course unlock every single possible sig that you can get on a 6'8". If you are in need of VC to upgrade this build, then luckily I got the video just for you. In this video right here, I go over the best VC methods in NBA 2K26 that will take you from having barely any VC to having so much VC that you can make any build that you want. Click this video on screen if you want to become a VC millionaire.